Wilde is a non-binary LGBTQ+ speaker and educator. They produce the largest career fair in the world for transgender, non-binary, and gender diverse participants. Their work received extensive media coverage, and the best part is this is only one example of Rex's fearless authenticity. In the 360 portion of our process, one of Rex's raters had this to say: fearlessness may sometimes mean aggressive, risky, or relentless. Yet Rex's fearlessness seems to show up as a steady, unyielding, and ever-present commitment. It is not loud or disruptive, but it is constant and beautiful.
I think first I want to take a moment to say thank you again. I'm really overwhelmed in the best way. And it's truly not lost on me that I'm also the first trans and non-binary person to be recognized, and that you're also starting your program hearing from me. I do want to... I do want to create a sense of shared language in the room, and so some folks might wonder what I mean when I say trans and non-binary. And trans or transgender meaning someone who doesn't identify with the sex or gender they were designated at birth, and then non-binary meaning someone who doesn't identify as exclusively a man or a woman. And so I'm both trans and non-binary.
Let's go a little deeper here a little bit, okay? Ready? So even though more and more people are coming out as gender diverse, there are currently, and I looked this up because this is just breathtaking. There are currently 500 plus anti-trans bills in Congress. Currently, right now. That's where all your corporate money is going to, I'm just saying it. Can you talk to us about how you've seen employees and corporations you work with navigate this political climate?
I mean, just from what you just said, the current climate for trans and gender expansive folks is devastating. Mm-hmm. Since 2020, there have actually been over 1,500 pieces of anti-trans legislation that have been proposed throughout the U.S.
It's deplorable.
Yeah.
There's that word.
It is deplorable.
It's deplorable.
Right.
Yes.
And I mean, right now, 4 out of 5 LGBTQ folks say that they would move states to find a different job because of this legislation.
Yeah.
And so to say that it has an impact on our workplaces, of course it does. And not only on our current workforce, but also our incoming workforce. Williams Institute out of UCLA shows that up to 27% of youth in California are identified as either transgender or as gender nonconforming.
Did you say 27%?
27%, almost a third.
Yeah.
So considering who this then is going to impact, it's not only the current workforce, it's not only incoming, but it's also the parents of trans and gender expansive kids, because the younger generations are the ones coming out in greater numbers than any other generation before. And so what do? Well, most of the organizations I come into contact with are what I would call moderately inclusive, and we really need to shift into cultures that are more intentionally inclusive. And so what that looks like is a moderately inclusive organization is one that says, yeah, we accept trans folks, and you can even put your pronouns on your email signature, all good. And I'll tell you, when I walk into those organizations, I'm misgendered right away. Mm-hmm. And what happens for me is most of the time when people see me, before they hear me speak, they think I'm a man. Mm-hmm. And then they hear my voice, and pronouns change to she and her pretty quickly. And what that causes for me is this experience where I don't want to speak then, because being gendered as a woman feels so incredibly disaffirming. Now, an intentionally inclusive organization looks different, and they follow what I call the 4 pillars for workplace inclusion. And I want to just talk about 2. One of them is education. I mean, the reality is that most people haven't knowingly met or held a close relationship with someone who's trans or gender expansive. And so there's going to be a lot to learn in order to understand a community that you aren't a part of. And so when employers provide education, they can help give their employees the confidence to do things like use they and them pronouns in the proper way and feel good that they're doing it right. And so education is really integral to helping create those inclusive environments on a cultural level. But the second pillar I'll talk about is called engagement. And this is how are we engaging our trans and gender expansive employees in order to make sure they have equitable opportunities? Are you a moderately inclusive organization? And if you are moderately inclusive, what are the action steps you need to take to become intentionally inclusive?
But I want to take you back to when you very first received the news that you were selected as one of this year's honorees. What was that moment like for you?
To be honest, I was in complete shock. I had this experience the whole time throughout the evaluation process, and even before, in just the idea of being nominated, that maybe I would be a finalist, but they would never choose a trans person for this award. And that has to do with so many of the ways that I've been told throughout my life that I don't belong. You know, and this really isn't only about me, right? This is about that trans and non-binary fit here and belong here. And I'm actually really lucky tonight. I have so many folks in my community who have joined me so that we get to celebrate this together. Because while I might be being awarded for being a fearlessly authentic leader, I mean, this community, these are the people that I look to really understand what it means to be fearlessly authentic.